Hello, everyone. I am Cameron Baptiste. I am a meteorologist here at the National Weather Service. As we approach the start of hurricane season, it is more important than ever to ensure that we, our families, and our communities are prepared. So, today we're going to talk about hurricanes in general, talk about the current season outlook, and also we're going to talk about the steps you can take before, during, and after a storm to stay safe and resilient. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So hurricane from June 1st to November 30th. Although storms in the month of May are not uncommon, the season really ramps up in August and it does peak towards the middle of September. But usually, once we get to October, Texas is generally safe. That's when the storms are more likely to be steered towards the east and pretty much stay off towards the east coast of the United States or off into the just off in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, how do we determine the category of hurricanes? That's mainly driven by the wind hazard, but it's also partially related to the storm surge. It is unrelated to flooding rains and tornadoes. And in this instance, we're not going to talk about tropical storms or tropical depressions. We're going to focus purely on hurricanes. So, Category 1 and Category 2 hurricanes, those are not major hurricanes. Category 3 and above is what we define as major hurricanes. So, by that definition, what we determine that based on that definition, was Hurricane Ike a major hurricane at landfall? It indeed was not. Even though the impacts were rather widespread due to the massive amounts of storm surge, and it was a pretty much a larger than normal system, uh, Hurricane Ike was indeed not a major hurricane. It was a high-end Category 2 hurricane. Did you know that since the year of 2017, there have been more landfalling U.S. major hurricanes than the period from 1963 to 2016? So we have seen an increased frequency of landfalling major hurricanes. Essentially, looking at this map, it seems like it's been pretty much one per year, as it seems like, minus the year 2019. So we are more likely now than ever before to see a landfalling major hurricane. Now, for Texas in general, the last 10 major hurricanes that made landfall since 1960, of those, the majority of them have either developed or rapidly intensified over the Gulf of Mexico. Now, what does that mean? That means that between the time of formation and the time of landfall, that is not a the Gulf is a not that big of a gulf. So you have to accelerate those timelines to get your preparedness plans ready to go. So that's why it is important now than ever before to have your plans in place ahead of hurricane season, so that if a storm develops, you are already prepared and you're not rushing to do anything at the last minute. Now let's talk about Hurricane Ike really quick. We did mention it before. Hurricane Ike was a large, high-end Category 2 hurricane at landfall. The storm surge and the winds were the biggest hazards. As you see, the Iowa will make its way up towards Galveston Bay and pretty much from the I-45 corridor up into. Also, we did have a hurricane last year as well, Hurricane Beryl. Beryl was a Category 1 hurricane at landfall, made landfall uh, over in Matagorda County. But the strongest impacts, we saw power outages and widespread 8 to 12-inch rainfall amounts from Hurricane Beryl last July. Now, each hurricane and tropical cyclone is different. Remember back in 1983, Hurricane Alicia, that was mainly a damaging wind, was the biggest hazard. And Ike, of course, the storm surge along the coast was the biggest hazard. Harvey, we remember that one was the heavy rain and also the tornadoes as well. And pretty much every tropical cyclone will have high surf and rip current impacts. And generally, those impacts we felt greatest along the coast were almost all of these. But which hazards are the most deadly? The water related hazards are definitely going to be the most deadly, causing about 90% of the fatalities. That ranges from storm surge to inland flooding to surf to offshore impacts as well. So, water hazards are definitely the biggest impact in hurricanes and can cause the most injuries and fatalities. Back in 2021, the average Atlantic hurricane season was updated based on the climatological data. So, an average hurricane season now is 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. And something else that impacts hurricanes is the El Nino and La Nina. So, El Nino is characterized by unusually warm waters near the equatorial eastern Pacific. So, that's off of the west coast of South America, while La Nina is unusually cold water in that same region. And these temperature patterns impacts the weather across the globe. So La Nina usually implies more storms, which is what we had last year. We were in a La Nina last year during hurricane season, while El Nino would imply fewer storms. So what are we expecting for this year? So we are currently in a weak La Nina, and we're transitioning to a neutral phase, or expected to transition to a neutral phase. We call it ENSO neutral by the summertime. And sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic are warmer than normal, but they are not as warm as they were in 2024. Over on the left hand side here, this is back in June of 2024. You can see these are sea surface temperature anomalies. So the brighter the reds, the greater the temperatures above normal. So we see quite a few oranges and reds, deeper oranges and reds up there. Well, compared to 2 days ago, of course, we're not in the heat of summer just yet, but we're not seeing as high of temperature difference there. And also off of the western coast of the South America, you can see our cooler than normal temperatures. That's our La Nina. And then right now we just have slightly getting some above normal, slightly above warmer than normal temperatures off the west coast of South America. So we're transitioning towards that ENSO neutral phase. And based on the forecast here as well, things are most likely to have a neutral ENSO phase going into the summertime. So as a result, that combination does favor above normal activity for the season. Colorado State University put out their forecast, I believe, last week, and they are also forecasting above normal activity, and that's due to the combination of transitioning to a ENSO neutral phase and also the Atlantic temperatures being, sea surface temperatures being just above normal, but not as warm as they were this time last year. You can see the different probabilities down here as well, but I do like their last sentence here that Thorough, prepara- thorough preparation should be made every season, regardless of predicted activity, because even if it only takes one storm to make it an active season. So always be prepared, no matter what the forecast says. Now let's determine your risk. It's gonna vary depending on where you live. So if you're along the coast, you're more likely to be impacted by storm surge and also rip currents, while inland areas won't likely have to be dealing with storm surge that much. We also will have to keep an eye out for strong winds, tornadoes, and inland flooding as we do with any tropical cyclone. Develop an evacuation plan. Do you live along the coast, or do you know that if you live in an evacuation zone? If you're along the coast or generally near like one of the bays, you're likely in an evacuation zone. So determine if you're in an evacuation zone. Plan several routes. Have a go back ready to go. And be sure to plan for your pets as well. They are an important part of your family, so be sure to have a plan in place for them as well. And follow the evacuation orders given by local officials as they are given. This is a map of the evacuation zones. So as I mentioned before, if you are along the coast or near the bays, you are in an evacuation zone. So just keep an eye out for your local officials. So when the time comes, if they issue an evacuation order, you can take heed and be sure to have several different options for getting out of the area, different routes with different highways, because we know that things can get clogged up. So be sure to have different routes, different options if you have to evacuate. And keep in mind that these designated routes, the ones that are in red, they will be supported with the fuel, food, and resources. Now, does everybody have their disaster kit ready to go and know what to include in it? So generally, you'll want to have something for each person in your family and also your pets to have food and water for at least 3 days, preferably more. Be sure to have medicine and prescriptions. Generally, one of the rules I have is to keep your gas tank at least half full during hurricane season at all times, just in case. Also, be sure to have plenty of batteries and rechargeables for your radios, phone chargers, things like that. And also have cash on hand because if the power goes out, then you will not be able to use any credit cards and things like that. Get an insurance checkup. Check with your insurance agent. You should have your documents with you in paper form. Know your policy, know what you're covered for, and also be sure to consider flood insurance. Strengthen your home. If you have to evacuate your home or you're going to stay home, be sure to cover your windows, secure loose outdoor items like trash cans, patio furniture, things like that. Trim trees. We see strong winds blow down tree branches all the time, and that's even more likely to be the case during a hurricane. Uh, Secure all your doors if you need to, and also move your vehicle to a safe location as well, preferably in a garage or something like that, to keep it safe from either the strong winds, the storm surge, or inland flooding, depending on what a hurricane is forecast to do. And also be sure to help your neighbors as well. If you have any elderly neighbors, senior citizens, things like that, be sure to make sure that they are properly prepared. Be sure that they have all the supplies that they need. If there is an evacuation order, help them to have their plan in place to evacuate, and check on them as well once it is safe to do so if they choose to stay at home. Uh, Complete a written plan as well. Digital plans are okay, but also having it in paper form is also good to have, just in case the power goes out, you won't be able to access it. Have a list of essential contacts, have a list of your insurance information, and be sure to keep all of your important documents. Keep them together in one place so that you know where to look for them. And be sure to have at least one contact outside of the impact area so that somebody knows that where you are. So pretty much just have somebody outside of the impact area know where you're going to go if you choose to evacuate, so that if somebody goes to look for you, they'll know where to look for you at. Stay informed of the tropics. The best way to do that is going to be going to www.hurricanes.gov, and over there you can find the tropical weather outlooks. Generally, they start in mid-May, but generally you have a 2-day and a 7-day outlook. The 2-day one is on the top right here. And if there's anything developing, they'll have a little X mark here, and that'll show you what they're expecting, the probability of formation. And if you hover over it, you'll get a little discussion to talk about, pretty much talk about what the general impact area is and the chances of formation. The 7-day outlook is the bottom right here. We have pretty much a hatched area of where the development may occur, and that'll also give you the probability of formation as well. Other ways to stay informed is going to be through our website as well, weather.gov/hdx. We have a tropical webpage as well. Also, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We have our hurricane guide from last year. We're likely going to update it again for this year, but there is a QR code there for you to scan, so you can get the latest information there. Generally, the information is going to be the same anyway. We just need to update it for the 2025 season. And that is all I have for y'all. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at nws.houston@noaa.gov. Thank you, and y'all have a great day.